Okay, everyone. Welcome to, I think this is our fourth or fifth podcast. I've got Steve here today. As most of our listeners will know, Steve is one of the best powerlifters in Australia at the moment. He's also an excellent coach. And today we're just going to come on and have a little bit of a chat about what's got Steve to where he is, with his coaching and lifting, and a little bit about him from his personal background as well. So how are you, Steve?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm very good, actually. So tell us a little bit about your background and what got you in to being where you are today, working at Perform Motion and being pretty successful with powerlifting and coaching and, running a team of people who are some of the best lifters in Australia, and yourself, who's one of the best lifters in Australia too.
I think if we go from like a business, I guess, point of view, I guess if we look back when I started lifting that was competitively lifting 6 years ago, but before that I was already training, and I think because I programmed myself back then and I taught myself everything back then.
Yeah.
And got myself, I guess, really strong in my first ever competition. I kind of just like coached people for free.
Yeah.
To start with, like if we go back all the way back then, who like us, like some of my best friends now, like Zane. I looked after him for free for a long time. He was one of my first athletes. So yeah, I think even then, if I look now and like people that know Zane now and see how far he's come. Like he was my first ever athlete as well to break a national record.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just offered him. I think that's how I started. Just said like, because we were working together.
Yeah.
We were both apprentices for the same company as butchers. And he was into training, and we were just talking, and I was like, I'll do your programming for you. Like, just because I wanted to see if this is working for me, can I, does it work for someone else?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got started with that.
So you were butchering before you started to do powerlifting coaching full time, hey?
Yeah, so I was a butcher for 11 years. I actually started as a cleanup boy.
Yep.
When I was 16.
Yeah.
Kind of just walked in and asked for a job, really.
Why'd you choose a butcher?
Actually, my old boy's a butcher.
Oh, there you go.
And he wanted me to work. So I was like, okay, well, and he's like, I want you to come clean up. And I was like, okay. So I started as a cleanup boy.
Yeah.
Just while I was at school, I used to go after school. And then I actually eventually worked all the way to the very top. So before I resigned and came here, like when I was getting too busy coaching myself, and I was like, I'm doing a really good job. Like if we look back at states, like I had 5 of the top lifters in Australia, in Queensland, just in that competition, like across like my roster of athletes, we've broken over 30 national records. Like, I'm like, this is what I need to do. I'm good at it.
Yeah.
I want to expand. So I think that's when I reached out to you.
Yeah.
But then,
I think you had 10 of you had half of the top 20 and I had the other half of the top 20 best lifters in.
I had half of the top 10.
Half of the top 10, that's right. Best lifters in Queensland.
Yeah. And then like I'd already had multiple national champions. Like someone else that we first started, like Tyson, he podiumed at nationals, but like in my first year of looking after him, he became one of the top 10 across all body weights. And this was back when we were powerlifting Australia. Like, he was one of the top 10 benches across all weight classes in Australia.
Yep.
So I just kind of knew I had a knack for it, and sort of picking people out and what was going to make them go to the next level.
Yeah, I picked up already with you that you started working when you were 16 and you work your way to the top, and being an athlete's very similar, working your way to the top. So it sounds to me like you've got a really good work ethic. What do you think was your biggest influence on having that work ethic?
I think there's a lot of small things in my life that have happened to me that kind of built up to where I am. Like, I guess kind of if we look back, like I I basically, like when I was 17, I lived on the street. I had nothing. I had to fend for myself. That was really hard back then.
Yeah.
That was, I straight after school, like if can go even further, like I got expelled from school actually, 10 weeks before graduation, but it wasn't because like I was a bad student or a bad kid. It was because I had to work to get money to live.
Yeah.
So I sat down with like 10 teachers, I remember back, and they were like, what are you doing, Stephen? You're here 2 days a week.
Yeah.
We don't understand. And I was like, I'm homeless. I need to make money. I'm going to work and I can't come to school. I come 2 days a week because that's all I felt like I needed to do to pass the subjects I was doing. Yeah. Which ended up being like, I was doing chemistry, biology, math C, math B. I was doing I was a bit of a nerd too, but I couldn't go to school anymore. I needed to work. I needed to earn money. I didn't have anywhere to sleep really for a while. Like I was on the streets for a few weeks, and then I was like couch hopping at mates' places. And I guess ever since then, that's just put me, like, I've always been a back against the wall type person. I've always just tried to keep moving forward all the time. Yeah. So I guess that sort of went over into my work ethic and, starting from the bottom and just working my way all the way to the top. And then like, I think we've discussed it as well. Like if I get bored, I get like bored and I get really agitated. And if we go butchering, I started as a cleanup boy, got offered as apprenticeship, finished my apprenticeship. And then after that was second in charge and then eventually manager. But then I wasn't just satisfied with being a manager. I wanted to be the manager of like the best store in Queensland. So I worked my way up to being the manager of the most profitable store in Queensland. So just little things like that. And then when I was there I think I was there for the last 2 years, and I just got too bored. There was no challenge left and I didn't really know what to do. So I think that's why I'm so hooked on coaching at the moment, is because there's always a challenge ahead. Yep. And if we're always working with a different body, there's going to be a different stimulus that they need to progress. Yeah, definitely. How did you go? I know your background seems quite similar to mine because I switched careers when I was 30 as well. How did you go working in a job that you weren't passionate about, being someone who is very similar to the way I if I'm bored, I'm frustrated too, Yeah, I guess I just looked to see how far I could go, I guess. Yeah. So like the passion wasn't necessarily in the job itself. It was in the drive of me to just get to the top. Yep. So I was like, okay, I didn't like standing at a fucking bench and cutting meat for 10 hours a day, but I liked the fact that I could eventually be like a boss. Like within the company itself, I ended up being the fastest signed off apprentice that worked for the company. And then I was basically I actually turned him down from a management role for a long time. And so I was just like, oh, this whatever, I'm just going to do it. Yeah. And then I just went for it because originally I was like, I'm not going to do this forever. And then I just kind of was like, you know what? Like I'm here now. I may as well just fucking go for it. Yeah, definitely. I understand that feeling. So what makes you think being a powerlifting coach would be a little bit different? Like if you do make it to the top, do you know what I mean? Like, do you feel that you might get bored doing this as well? Or do you feel like this is a totally different ball game for you? It's a completely different ball game. Like it's a lot more rewarding. Yeah. Seeing people grow, seeing them do these things that you put on a piece of paper and then it just like come to fruition on a platform and you're just like, holy shit, this is amazing. Definitely. I understand that. So I guess those years of you being homeless and not having any money has taught you how to work pretty hard and appreciate things. Yeah, for sure. That and like the people I've been around as well around then. And then also like, as a coach, like I think everyone knows I'm coached by Sean, and like the fact that his standard hasn't dropped off in the whole 3 years that we've been together is a big influence on the way that I coach as well. Definitely. Yeah. Just going into that, tell me a little bit about your own personal coaching philosophy and
what you try and portray from yourself personally to your lifters? Like, what's your philosophies with your coaching?
So in terms of
just in general, what do you expect? Yeah, because when you coach someone, it's a relationship, right?
Yeah, big time.
Expectations and, you know, your philosophies in what you want out of that relationship when you have a new lifter that comes on board with you.
I think, you know what I'm like. Like, I'm very open door communication. Like, the door's always open for someone to come and reach out, send a video, ask me a question, do what they want. Like, I'm kind of available whenever, unless I'm obviously sleeping or busy, but everyone's pretty understandable with that.
Yeah.
And then I guess in terms of like an athlete coach relationship, I try and just sometimes just make sure I'm there for someone on a different sort of level. It's not just me ramming feedback or technique down someone's throat. It's also just engaging in conversation.
Yep.
Asking how someone is, you know, like we're working with people. We're not working with robots.
Definitely. Yeah, I understand that completely. I think that's where us as a business, and we are a little bit different. And I think that's why you fit in really well with the team, because of that care factor. And that care factor is really hard to come by sometimes, you know?
Yeah. But, I mean, there is times where I've been like pretty straightforward and pretty blunt with clients, but it needed to be done. Like it comes with time and place.
Yeah, definitely. I know from looking at your clients, you know, when you came over to us, you didn't have anyone who didn't come over with you. That speaks volumes of who you are as a coach. And how much your people on your team value you and your feedback, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, like I said, like I've been working with a lot of them for a long time, and we just developed relationships over time. Like with Zane, like I'm going to his wedding, that sort of stuff. Like
definitely,
you know, definitely, just little things like that. We just.
So how did you, from the background where you did struggle a lot, did you carry any, like, you know, getting expelled from school and having a rough time? Did that help? Do you feel that helped you or hindered you in getting to know people or opening up with people?
Very, very much hindered. I'm very closed off as a person. It takes takes a lot for me to talk about that with someone.
Yeah.
Even this, I guess right now it's kind of easy because it feels like it's just you and I talking, although a lot of people are going to listen.
Yeah.
So that's okay. But it is hard for me to I guess open up like that and then have people know what I've actually been through, because I am very much like I just standoffish, and I guess people don't know what I've been through and what I've done.
Yeah, definitely.
And when it's just like will just see, I guess, this guy training or coaching. Yeah. In that sort of sense.
Definitely. I think one of the good values that I see common with you and I is that we don't really do this for the income, even though we are doing it for the income. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think I said it to you a few times. Like, I'm not motivated by money.
No.
Yeah, like it's just I just love it, to be honest. Like working with people, and it's completely different for me. I've done it. I've obviously coached for 4 or 5 years now after I did my first competition, but not to the extent that I am now.
Yeah.
So it was more just like, I guess that's another reason why I had to leave butchering. Like I said, like I was starting to get too busy.
Yeah.
And there was too many people, and you know, the service that I provide with the open door communication and being available all the time, like I was finding myself like not caring about a job that I put so much effort into for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was putting more into this, I guess, side hustle that I was doing. And then I was just like, I need to get out of here. And I get straight after Christmas, I just handed my resignation. I just walked in, just gave it to him. I didn't even have a plan. I was just like, but that's me as a person. Like, I need to put myself in that position. Like, I just have to.
I like being out of my comfort zone a lot. Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm actually moving forward, you know?
Oh, you have to. You fucking have to. If you don't, I guess, put your, like, a lot of people will stay complacent and they won't do it. But if you put yourself in a position where you can't fucking go anywhere but forward, then you will get out of it.
Exactly. So how have you balanced going into your training and how you've trained? And I know I watched you train for like the last 6 months now, and you train really hard, and you don't miss sessions, and you don't miss exercises, and you don't half-ass anything. How do you find balancing your vision of being very tunneled in what you need when you don't have lifters or people under you that's the same as that? Like, how do you change the way that you might communicate with someone who might miss sessions or might not want to be at the gym, or, you know, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I guess I'm very adaptive to that in a way. Like, I'll have that conversation early with someone, like, where do you want to go, or where do you see yourself? And they're either all in, or they're kind of like, this is a hobby for me, and which is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Just because I know I've had athletes themselves that have put so much pressure on themselves because of they've seen me training and seen me doing what I do, that they've put that much pressure on themselves to try and meet me, that they've ended up just like falling apart and feeling like I'm not happy with the progress that they're making, or I'm not happy with the way that they're training, and like not even being able to, I guess, have that conversation with me because they thought that they were failing me. And then when they finally did, I was like, not at all.
I've had the exact same thing happen so many times.
Yeah, it's really I mean, it's good that they look up to me in that way. Yeah. But it's like, I don't expect you to be me.
No.
And then at the same time, like, if you're going to try and be like me, then I'm going to go even further. So don't even try.
You're a bit competitive, hey?
I'm very competitive.
Well, that's good. That's how you get to the top. I guess people, you've got people who want to meet you with your work ethic, and people who might be a little bit,
intimidated.
Not intimidated, but like feel that pressure to actually.
Yeah.
I get that too, but I get that from a work perspective, not the athlete perspective. And I remember a couple of months ago, you said to me that the outlook on how you're doing in your job is exactly the same as the outlook as you are and as an athlete. And I really resonated with that. But I
think that was like something I had to say to you, because you were it was when something about someone, I think it was my T posted about, you know, you got to be training hard to feel it, and you were like, I think you might have felt a bit like you needed to get into training, being competitive and stuff. And I was like, Kelly, like your work ethic is exactly what we do in training. It's just you're just doing it business related, you know.
Exactly.
We're doing it on the floor with barbells on our fucking back, but you can relate to what we're doing, just not physically, but like mentally, and the approach that we're taking and how hard that you work. There's not that much difference.
You don't get shut off time, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but
that's it.
At the end of the day, it's always just the push to be better and better and be the best.
Exactly right.
I just want to be the best. We want to be the best facility that offers powerlifting and rehab in Australia, going global at the moment.
I think like training for you just comes to a point of like moving, really. You want to feel the movement so you can teach it.
Exactly. Oh yeah. I always, if I have something new, I need to feel what it feels like before I can actually cue it and know what it is. But going back, how old were you when you started powerlifting?
Unfortunately, I got one competition as a junior.
Oh, how'd that go?
I was 23. I had that. Well, that went really well, actually. I programmed myself into that competition.
Yep.
I went 9 from 9. Weighed in at 72 kilos. Total 585. Actually ranked me.
I was at.
Hey.
Is that the one I was at?
I'm not sure. Is that Iron Underground?
Oh, was it Iron?
No.
Yeah.
No, I was open then already.
Yeah.
I got a month as a junior, and then I was straight into an open. But that first meet, I actually put me as one of the top ranked juniors in the country.
Yep.
And I didn't even know. I literally was like at a gym, and I got a message from Sean Muir, who in a way is my uncle. He's kind of like my step uncle in a way, because he's my step sister's uncle, but he's also the president of AP now. But he he messaged me because he found out that like I lifted weights.
Yeah.
And then asked me if like I asked me to meet at what was it back then in, I can't remember, Valhalla. No, it wasn't in Valhalla. PTC, Brisbane.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to meet up with him and Jess Gilbert for a session. And then he was like, "You're competing in 9 weeks." And I was like, "Shit, okay." Like, where at? And he's like, at Iron Underground. And I was like, "I don't even know where this is, man," or whatever.
Yeah.
And I programmed myself into that. I remember taking like basically like a week off before because I just didn't know how to taper.
There's people that still do that.
I know there's people that are still stuck back in 2015. And then I went out and I went 9 from 9. I actually had a really good day.
Yeah.
That was one of my best competitions.
How many numbers?
207.5, 137.5, and 240.
Nice.
Yeah, there was only a couple of 74s that were only going over 600 back then, and now there's a few of us that are looking at 10 times body weight. So
yeah, exactly. I think it's pretty standard for a good 74 to be around that 700 kilo mark now. Yeah,
a good one. Yeah.
Wow. And who were you lifting with back then? So back in around the 2015, that's still around. I know you and Potts did a same comp together.
Yeah. We did one at Townsville.
Yeah.
I wasn't really lifting. I didn't even know Potts then. He was just there. He was just like, I was like, "Who's this fucking dude?" He was jacked as like, I was like, this is powerlifting, man, not bodybuilding.
Yeah, because he's an ex-bodybuilder.
Yeah, and he cut heaps of weight, and then he ended up being 74s. I thought he was like 83s at least.
Yeah, right.
But there, and then before I did my first competition, I just had like general commercial gym training partners. But they were actually, that's how it happened. They were all on steroids. They were all taking everything. So they were all on
kept trying to lift heavier and heavier because they were all on steroids.
Yeah, they were just getting bigger and bigger and just just, and they were like, Steve, take. And I was like, no, I don't want to take that stuff. Like, the long-lasting effects it's going to have on my body just isn't worth it. So in my head, while they were doing that, I was like, I'm just going to get fucking stronger than these guys. And they were my mates, but I was like, I'll just get stronger.
Yeah. When did you realize that you had the ability? I know you probably always wanted the ability. When did you really realize that you had the ability to go to Worlds or be a contender for Worlds soon?
That was just something that I had embedded in me from the start. Like, I was like, after I did that first competition, and a lot of people came up to me after or during the day saying like, "Oh man, like, I've never seen you compete before." And I was like, "This is my first competition." And they were basically astounded. They were like, "Holy shit, the numbers that you're putting up." And then they asked you like, "How old are you?" And I was still a junior. I was a junior. They were like, "Where'd this guy come from?" And then I remember after that comp, I could have trained home, and that's when I first looked at the like the records and stuff for the PA, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna go after these." Yeah. And see what I can do. And that's when I found out that I would have been one of the top juniors had I gone to junior nationals, like across all weight classes, not just in the 74s. But the 74s was a really strong weight class for a while.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really strong. Like
JP.
John Paul, JP, Joey Zignini, Chad, Derek. There was heat. Alvin, it was crazy.
Yeah. So since then, I had a quick look on Open, the lifter, Open Powerlifting, and you've done a lot of comps in Australia, but you haven't done one. You haven't done one overseas. That's on the bucket list, hey?
I don't see the point in doing a Commonwealth.
Yep.
I just like, if I want to do international, I want to go all out and I want to go to Worlds.
Yep.
We need to earn that, in my opinion. Like, you need to win nationals. I remember I got invited one year, but I didn't win. I actually got invited 2 years in a row because there was a year I broke my arm.
Yep.
And I came back and they randomly offered me a spot like 2 months out. They're like, you could do it. We can take 274s. And I was like, no, I'm coming back for it.
Yeah.
And then the next year, Leo wasn't lifting after he'd just beat me in nationals, and he offered me the spot. And I was like, yeah, but then we got COVID. Yeah.
I guess
so now it's like we got to, it's got to kind of be, well, there's me, Leo, and Carver have got to go head to head at nationals next year. And, if I win, then I'll go to Worlds after that.
Yeah.
But they're great athletes themselves. Like they're both. It's crazy. Us 74s are the most competitive weight class. We're all going to go, like I've said to heaps of people, us three will be like 1, 2, and 3 in the 74s, but we're also going to be 1, 2, and 3 overall as well on points.
Definitely. You got for some. I remember back in 2015, but it just seems that 74s are just getting bigger and bigger and able to just pack on so much muscle. Do you know what I mean?
74s and 83s, like those middleweight classes.
Definitely, it's just you've just got to be all muscle. You can't have any fat on you because it's just a wasted substance, really.
Yeah. Well, we're like, that's what we're doing. We're just exhausting everything, I guess, at this point.
Exactly. So tell me, backtrack a little bit. How did you learn to program? So what were you reading? And I know because programming, we spoke last night about this, programming for you is one of your passions, and, very open that that you're good at it, and then you like to manipulate programs and you look at data and programs. Where did you start? Like, where did it come from?
So, all right. So I was living with an ex. Well, I was living with my girlfriend at the time. And this is when I was still an apprentice. And I think I was so I started when I was 17, maybe I was 19 or 20-ish.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was training for a couple of years and then I decided to do my first competition. So, yeah. But we were together, and then we were renting a house together, and we broke up. So she left. And me being on an apprentice wage, this was another thing too, like another one of those back against the wall type situations is me being on an apprentice wage, I could literally only afford food, fuel, rent, and like bills. That was all. I had nothing else to my name at that point because it would just that was all I was getting paid as an apprentice. I couldn't afford anything else. So I had the internet, and I just and a gym membership. So I was like, I'm gonna see, like, I guess what everyone's doing. And back then it was big. The big names were like Lane Norton and stuff like that. Ryan Doris. They were getting around.
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut was around too. I didn't actually follow much powerlifting, to be honest, but I seen Lane and that was doing it. Lane was going for squat world records. There was Katie Ann as well. All the I can't remember who they were. Like I guess they had sort of like a name, but I can't remember what it was. But anyway, I just sort of paid a lot of attention to what they were doing.
Yeah, right.
They were running that DUP style of programming.
Yep.
And that's how I ran myself into my first meet, is just like that. I just did 5 days a week where I just I'd undulate my rep ranges and intensity throughout the week, and it worked really well for me. So I just taught myself almost through like watching what they were doing on Instagram and just like seeing how their programs were manipulated and how they were running it. And then I used to write it down on a piece of paper. Even for like Zane, when I was writing his program, I used to write it down on a piece of paper and then just like look at it and then just be like, this works. Like it's all from here this day and here this day. It all just works out.
Yeah, right.
And I guess like writing it out like that too, I really bought into the way that I was doing it. And then, like I just had to. I had nothing else to do. I lived by myself. Had no money for nothing. I couldn't do anything besides eat, train, sleep, and work. Like the typical niche, what people say. Like, that's literally all I could do because that's all I could afford to do.
So after you taught yourself to program, did you see all these like? And this happens sometimes when I have a little bit of a biomechanics like brain explosion. Sometimes for me, and then did you see other people or other coaches programming very similar are coming out of it and going, oh my God, that's what I've just taught myself. I get that.
Not at the time, no, not really. But the thing is, with the style that it was back then, there was like, I think it was the very much like we'll go 4 weeks, then on the 5th week deload.
Yeah.
I didn't really do it for myself, but that's how that most people were doing it. And then the other thing too, with the typical like DUP style of training that everyone was doing, is people were falling apart.
Yes.
They were fucking breaking because it was based off percentage. It wasn't what we do now. It was more everything was off like a percentage of our 1RMs or of my 1RMs, and then it was we sort of just literally progress for ages.
Yeah.
And it just get too much by the end. So it was really hard to sort of manage. Like I took that week off before I competed because I was that fucking sore and tired that I was like, I can't.
Meet? Did you still have a good meet after that?
I went 9 from 9. Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I was. It was great. That's probably the only time where I've been like, holy shit! Like, I remember putting like 120 on my back. I did train the Monday of the competition, and I put 120 on my back, and I nearly couldn't stand back up with it.
And then you hit 207.5.
Yeah. I tapered really well. Super compensation was fucking amazing that day.
Yeah, but you did finish that comp and were you like, I fucking can't do that again?
Yeah. I was like, and that's when I actually was like, no, I was like, no, that worked really well. Fuck, let's go. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do it again. And then I fucking hurt my back going into another meet.
There you go, people falling apart.
Yeah. I ended up being one of those people, but I was like, the same time I was like, when I was doing it, I was like, I'm resilient. I can do it. And then I was doing a deadlift and my back is going, and I was like, oh shit, I couldn't pick anything up off the floor for like 3 weeks.
Oh yeah.
It was funny, but I actually the meet was at UQ.
Yeah.
That I was prepping for, and I did it 2 weeks out, 2 or 3 weeks out. And like me, like it's just still like embedded in my mind that I don't care how fucked I am. If I've said I'm going to do something, I'm still going to do it.
Yeah.
We drove all the way to UQ and I like couldn't even walk. And I was like, I'm still going. I'm still going to do this competition. Like, I don't care. I haven't lifted a thing in 2 weeks, but I'm still going.
You weren't the only lifter to be doing that around that time, mate.
Yeah. But I couldn't find it. I didn't know where they held the meets at UQ. So I turned around and went and got brekkie and just went home. I remember just sitting in the car being like, I'm pretty sore anyway. It's probably not a good idea.
They held them in the little scout hole.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. I was just lost. So I just said, Coral, turn around and go home. Let's go.
Do you think running that style of programming was one of the reasons why you broke your arm?
Nah. Oh, nah. My arm was really sore for a long time before it broke. I was probably pushing through pain for nearly over 12 months. I was seeing people weekly to get my shoulder checked up and like be able to keep training through it. But I actually broke my arm about 4 months into working with Sean.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we were doing a lot. Like Sean was like he's fucking smart, you know that. He was really good with the rehab stuff already. Like we were doing a lot to get it to a point that I was getting better. And then once it got better, I guess I just pushed a bit too hard again and it just flared back up. And I always just thought it was just my shoulder.
Yeah.
Because that's all I could feel was just this ache in my shoulder. And I was just seeing people all the time and they were saying the same thing. Like no one suggested like go and get an x-ray.
Yeah, right.
You know, I didn't myself. Like who thinks their fucking arm's breaking?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I remember the day that it happened, like I was at work, I was still butcher, and I went to just slice like a rib fillet, and I couldn't get my knife through it because my arm was that short.
Yeah.
And I walked out of the room and was like, and I remember my apprentice came out and he actually trained at the same gym and he was like, are you going to go train? So I was like, man, I'm fucking 2 weeks out from nationals. Of course I'm going to go train. And he was like, please don't. Like, I can actually see how much pain you're in.
Yeah.
Just don't go and do it. And I was like, Corey, I'm going to. And he was like, okay, I can't stop you, but I have said it. He ended up being the guy that handed me out when it broke.
Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh man, Corey would have been fuming at you. Was he angry?
He just said, like, when he seen me the next day, he was like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "My fucking arm's broken. What do you think?" And he's like, "I told you so. I don't care."
I told you so. I told you not to go. You're the idiot who went.
Yeah, and then but before it, so I benched 100 kilos, and then I walked. I was like, it was that sore, and my shoulder was throbbing that much that I was like, I'm not benching anymore.
Yep.
And then I walked around the gym. I grabbed some dumbbells and did a few things, just to see like that range I could put my shoulder through.
Yeah.
And then I walked into the bathroom and I just fucking screamed at myself. And I was like, you just need to hit 120 just to be safe.
Yeah.
Because like my squat and my deadlift was strong enough at that stage for me to win nationals.
Yeah.
Because I think Leo was still a junior, so I would have been fine.
Yeah.
It was like hit 120, you'll be okay. Like you'll still win nationals, and then we'll fix it and then go to worlds. And so I walked out. I said low 120, and I remember Corey being like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, do it." And I was like, "I just got to hit it for one rep," and he's like, "Okay." And then I obviously, like, if you've seen how I was benching when I did it, I had no control from like halfway up. Like everything in my shoulder would just give way, from like the scap, everything would just give way and just like just free fall onto my chest.
I hope you really apologize to Corey after that, because you probably have scared him off bench press for the rest of his life.
No. I would have apologized to him, but we haven't spoken in a bit now. But it snapped, and then I was like, I remember when the paramedics got there, I was like, what did I say to him? Oh, I made sure that I took my shirt off myself, because I was like, I like this shirt.
Yeah.
And then what they were like, I was told them, I was like, I've got to compete in 2 weeks, and I thought my shoulder was just dislocated. They were like, we'll see how the x-ray looks, man. And I was like, nah, I'll be fine. Pop it back in, and like I'll move on, and I'll bench whatever and still win. And then
you did that, I remember seeing it on your Instagram, and I remember when you did it, and I thought, he is the biggest idiot.
yeah. I can imagine a lot of people do. I think as like people get to know me more, they realize why I push myself that hard.
Yeah. I remember after it got, I remember I felt really bad for you because you missed out on nationals, and that would have been heartbreaking for you.
Yeah, it was. So what happened was we get to the hospital, and I was laying on the bed, and they took me in for the x-ray, and so we walked in, they got the x-rays all the way around, and I actually knew the girl who was taking the x-ray somehow. She was from the gym. She was like, did you just have the gym? And I was like, yeah, I did. And she was like, that's that arm you've been complaining about for months, hey? And I was like, yeah, it's the shoulder. And
finally went.
Yeah, she's like, you're an idiot. And then I was like, we'll get this, and then like pop it back in. And then she did the x-rays, and she walks over to the screen to look at it, and there was already another a radiologist looking at it.
Yep.
And I remember her walking over to the screen and the other one showing her, and both their jaws just dropping and just like holding their faces. And I was like, what the fuck have I done? And she walks out of the room, and I was like, what have I done? And she was like, I can't tell you. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, I'm not qualified to tell you. You're going to have to wait for a doctor.
Oh.
Yeah, she was like, but it's pretty clear and it's bad, and you're not going to compete in 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, I was still convinced. I was still like, nah, yeah, I'll be right, whatever. You don't know me. She's like, you're not. And I was like, okay. And then I was sitting in the bed, and I think I was about 10 minutes later, like 5 or 6 doctors were just surrounding me.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And the main one who I'd already spoken to was like, Stephen, you broke your arm. And I was like, no, I have not broken my arm. And he was like, no, yeah, you broke your arm. And I was like, nah, you're lying. And then he was like, okay, and he went and got the X-ray to prove, because I was like, this is bullshit. I didn't break my arm.
Yeah.
And so he got the X-ray, he passed it to me, and I remember looking at it, and I was just looking at this broken arm, and I was like, no. And then I just looked around the page just to find my name, and then it hit me and then I just broke down after.
It was pretty well snapped, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in half. It was 2 pieces, clean snap.
Jesus.
Yeah, I literally just broke down as soon as I realized that it was real. That was actually happening.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Then well, straight after I was like, I guess I was like, this sucks. I moped around for like 2 days, and I was back in the gym 4 days later.
Yep.
SSB squatting with one arm.
What does Sean say?
When I did it, he just really very apologetic, I guess, when I did it. Neither of us knew my arm was going to break. We knew that there was pain there, but we didn't know my arm was on the verge of snapping in half.
No.
So we
only been working with you for 3 to 4 months, just getting to know you, like you guys.
Well, I went to him with shoulder pain, so there was already things in my program that were already laid out to try and fix this issue. And like it would get better, and then as I had to really ramp it into the competition, it started to flare up again.
Yeah.
It's
not what you think. You don't think that, or maybe he's got a stress fracture in his arm and it might break soon. You don't think that.
Nah, no one. Who would think that?
You wouldn't.
Yeah. You wouldn't. And then I think I spent, after that, was just about 6 or 7 weeks. And then I just slowly, I just grabbed the bar one day and I was like, fuck this, I'm just going to do it. I remember having like a breakthrough moment just at home, because I obviously wasn't working at the time, of like being able to just hang the washing out on the clothesline.
Yeah, I understand.
Just being able to get my arm up to that point.
Yeah.
And just like hang something up, and I was like, fuck, I'm actually getting better. Like this isn't going to be like this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I know the feeling, man. And I remember after you did it, after cast came off, you were benching heavy pretty quickly after.
Yeah, I basically added 20 kilos a week.
That's insane how you came back so well.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people said that, actually. Like, people came to me now, like, how did you do it? And I was like, I'm pretty dumb, to be honest. But I was kind of like, in my head, I was like, I got a fucking big bar in here now that I can't break that with, this bar's not going to break.
You're an idiot.
I was like, it hurts a bit, but like, I need to do it to get past it. And I need to just I'm still always going to be fearful of it. I still get a little bit nervy and anxious before like a big bench or something.
Yeah, we're flying at the moment.
Yeah, bench is going phenomenal right now. But I still do think about it. Like, I always have flashbacks of that happening.
Yeah, I think you always will. But you just got to trust that you've done that. Trust that your technique's a little bit better now, hey?
It's heaps better. I see it as a blessing, because I had to relearn how to bench. Now I can also teach it so well now because I had to literally relearn from fucking a barbell. Definitely.
How has that experience shaped how you work with lifters that come to you with niggles and issues now? Because there is still that stigma a little bit in powerlifting in general, that you need to push through pain, and it doesn't matter. When you're a top end athlete, we all know that niggles are normal, blah blah blah. We know that, and we know that being a top end athlete, you will feel beat up and stuff like that. But what about your intermediate kind of novice guys that start? How do you help them with the injury process and stuff based on what you've been through?
It's a lot of just talking to them and trying to understand what they're feeling and how they're feeling, and then just layering their program in a way that it's going to make what's going on feel better, but while we can still squat, bench, and deadlift as frequently as we can.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. You do that with the top end guys too. Even for myself, there's stuff that's going on at the moment, but I'm just doing things around it so I can still move.
Yeah.
it's going to be like that forever. I think
Yeah.
if a coach turns around and says to an athlete, like, don't worry about it, like come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like you're gonna make this person break or fall apart.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I was like with so when I was running the DUP style of programming back in the day, although like I had great success and I got strong as heck from it, people were breaking, it was just too much. And I think like that's how it's evolved now. Is I'm almost running what I was running back then.
Yep.
But it's just so much smarter now.
So smarter with low drops and volume and intensity and frequency, and making sure that you understand what you think you can't handle.
Yeah, so it's like, I guess in a way, like what I was doing back then was like working, and it was really smart, but it just needed to evolve into what it is now.
Exactly.
Which is kind of why I hired Sean when I did, because I'd kind of just come off like trialing RPE with athletes that I was already coaching, but I didn't hadn't had my head around it. This was 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Where there was not that many people that were training that way. It was just really Americans that were kind of pioneering it. And Sean was doing like sub-max RPE. So they'd found a way to kind of do like sub-max RPE with the DUP, and then it was all just kind of like that. It just had evolved into kind of what we have now.
Yeah.
Which is just a lot smarter. And then with like layering on top with also like the injury management and the load management and all that stuff, and then being more preventative in the way that we're training and movement prep and that sort of stuff, rather than just percentage based, just cook us and then hop on a platform.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I was impressed by when you came on board with us, is how well your athletes moved. It's not common to get coaches whose athletes move really well unless the coach knows how to layer things on the way that we've done as well as you. And I thought, when I saw your guys at States and stuff, and Maria lifting as much as she was with such good technique, you don't see that often. So that was probably one of the biggest drawing cards for me to work with you as well, And I think
for sure.
I think any new lifter wanting to approach us is, I think that's the biggest thing, is knowing how to work around what they may be struggling with already with powerlifting programming, Yeah,
100%. What are you saying?
Not with rehab, not with separating rehab and then separating powerlifting, because I don't know, I've come from a pretty bad injury history myself, and I found it rough for a little time putting on more load with my clients, because I was, there'd been so many people in the industry, or so many people in powerlifting who'd gotten injured from running crap programs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It's not just like that. It's like, so with powerlifting and rehab, like it's at a point now where we can do it together.
Exactly.
So we have these things and like layers in our programming that are going to prevent the injuries that are occurring, or like the niggles that we're feeling.
Yeah.
While also getting stronger, rather than just like, no, you got to rehab. Let's not squat anymore. Like, no, we need to push, the stimulus and push the tissue through the movement that you've done, essentially.
Definitely. I 100% agree. It's really, I think that change in mindset though is really taken a steep change within the last 2 years though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Because, and that, I think Instagram and just powerlifting evolving in general has really helped. There's some really good quality coaching going on now, and that's been the difference that's happening now. Like, to 5 years ago into the 2015s, that there's heaps, the quality of coaching has really improved.
Right. It really has now. Like you can just tell by the way that the athletes are now.
Yeah, exactly. You always know if the coach is doing a good job, if their athletes are moving well, and if their athletes are healthy.
Yeah. Now it's like they're strong, moving well, and healthy. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, but before
where are we going to go?
Yeah, exactly. Before we go, I just wanted to talk with you a little bit about our junior lifting program that we're going to be kicking off in January. Do you want to talk a little bit about what your expectations for that are and where you see junior lifters in Australia going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Like junior lifters, I just think they're the future. That's what's going to be. They're going to be like rocking up to nationals and winning it now if they're starting early enough. You know what I mean? So if they come to us, I believe that we can get them to that level where they're not even going to be leaving the junior, I guess, age bracket, and they're going to already have like, you know, this 500 Wilks that someone like me was working for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to already have it before they're not even a junior, because we have the tools to get them there now. So that's really like, that was the first thing I came to you with, like, is these guys are the future of our sport. We need to get them now, and we need to start like rolling them, because they're the future of us, really. Like,
exactly. So is your coaching and programming any different for juniors than it is for open athletes?
Not really, because they're still people. Like, there's not too much different stuff that they're going to do. Like, it's they're obviously going to enjoy it. Like, and it's if we talk like, you know, a junior who's a I guess beginner intermediate, then it's going to be different from a junior who's advanced, because it's still training age and it's still intermediate beginner and it's still advanced.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be that different. Like, if they still move well, you know, like Ed, like someone like him, like he's only 20 years old.
Yeah.
So like he's really strong for his age.
Yeah.
But the other juniors that I already coach, they're all really strong for their age. I wouldn't say I program them any different to like the older people, just based on their age, because their training age is kind of the same, so it doesn't make too much difference.
Yeah. What about your communication style? Is it different with the juniors than it is with the open guys?
Sort of, yeah. Yeah. Like, it's more like I obviously cue them and I explain what I want to do.
Yep.
Obviously, but it's like some of it's just like gassing them up, because they're just these guys just want to be gassed up.
Yeah, they just want to be told how strong they're going to get.
Yeah, or just like that they're doing really well. You know, I've obviously had the conversation with some of them. I have one guy in Sydney who we had a conversation with a while ago. It was like, you kind of just like, I think you're going through this with someone at the moment, where you're just overshooting, but I just let them go.
Yep.
Because you know, I obviously wanted to see how they responded from that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And if, you know, I can't be like, this is your RPE, like you do, especially when the load's going up every single week. It's kind of like this is working at the same time. So let's go. But then he actually spent like 6 months just literally doing like RPE 5 and 6 stuff.
Yep.
And his biggest pull was 240 kilos, and on the weekend, because he's a couple of weeks out from a meet now, on the weekend he pulled 280.
What? Because of so much work. Funnily enough, my lifter who's overshooting a lot is a master, and he's been doing overshooting a lot for the last 15 years. So hopefully the submax work that does its job as well in that regard too.
It's just like, it just drilled like the other thing too, like he was writing a thesis and stuff, so he didn't have enough time to really invest in that. So I was like, in a way, like, it's made both of us realize, let's not force this progression, and just like realize that smart progressions really fucking work right now. So let's just do this again next time.
That's awesome. Well, for anyone who's listening out there, Steve's going to be running a junior lifting open day in January the 23rd. So if you're a junior lifter and you're interested in coming along, it's going to be an excellent experience. You'll get to listen to Steve talk about powerlifting for a little while and test your lifts, and he's going to gas you up for a max out at the end of the day. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think junior lifters are really cool because they're so enthusiastic about what they're doing, and they're obviously doing it because they're passionate, and they're doing it because they're not getting involved with drinking and drugs and stuff. They just want to go to the gym, and that's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It is great. It's great to see, especially at the moment, like especially with everything else that's going on. just to see kids that want to do well and they want to, but they're influenced as well on social media, like I've said. Yeah, which is cool. It's great. It's good to see these kids that aren't influenced by, you know, like guys that are just going out and doing drugs and doing dumb shit. And, you know, like back in when I was younger, that's what it was.
That's what I was when I was younger too.
We're so heavily influenced by that, but now we're getting heavily influenced by, like, you know, there's this sport that we can do.
Yeah.
And it's basically like a fucking game. All we got to do is just play it for 2 or 3 hours a day. Yeah. And we get fucking better at it.
That's right. I remember when I was 18, all that we used to do would be go out to the valley every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night.
Yeah.
A little bit different. Okay, well, thanks very much for coming on today, Steve. It was really good to hear about what's brought you to this point, and hear about why your work ethic is so strong in what you're doing. So yeah, thanks very much. Thanks very much for coming on.
No worries.